So, I went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, and unlike the screenwriter for the film, I really have no witty comment to insert here, so, just gonna skip that. Anyway, this film has a fantastic ensemble cast. Don't believe me? Here. There's Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel. Say what you will, that man does fantastic voice work. There's Bradley Cooper, Lee Pace, Michael Rooker, John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, Benicio del Toro. And then it's written and, well, co-written and directed by James Gunn. Now, you may not have heard of him, but he's directed two movies that I really enjoyed. 2010, he directed Super, and that's a really fantastic dark comedy. If you like that sort of thing, I encourage you to go see that if you hadn't already. It's really twisted in just the right ways, very funny, very disturbing on some levels too. Good movie. And then he also directed Slither, which stars Nathan Fillion and actually has Michael Rooker as the villain in that one. And that's just a wonderfully fantastic sort of 80s style comedy horror. Worth a watch. Now, he did admittedly do some work on the Scooby-Doo movies, but I'll let that slide. Now, the general idea here is Chris Pratt plays Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord. He grows up here on Earth until, say, the mid-80s. Then he gets abducted, and 26 years later we see him again as a right spacefaring rogue who steals some artifact from these ruins on a planet. He falls in with some rogues who have, secret hearts of gold, and ends up saving the day. It's a really well-done, fun Marvel movie, but no one said it was terribly complex. It does, however, do some interesting things to the Marvel Universe. For instance, they introduced the Infinity Gems. They're a big deal in the Marvel Universe, and they've been used in a lot of big crossover events and things like that. They've been hinted at in the Marvel Universe before, more for nerds like me, like something called the Infinity Gauntlet can control their power, and that was used in one of the Thor movies, and people were speculating that the Tesseract from Captain America and the Avengers was actually an Infinity Gem, and they flat out admit to it in this one. Well, they don't say it, but when they show you a picture of the Infinity Gems, the Tesseract is one of them, so, and then beyond that, they actually finally really introduced Thanos. He was sort of the post-credits purple guy in one of the other movies, but they acknowledge him here. They talk about how powerful he is, they give him a name, they make him very menacing. He's not the big villain, that's Ronan the Accuser in this one, but he's there, he has a presence, it's nice to see. But enough of that aside, you're curious about the actual movie. Well, as I said, the plot isn't really terribly complex, but at the same time it's trying to fit a lot of stuff into its 2-hour runtime. It's introducing multiple characters, concepts new to the Marvel Universe as a whole, and tell a fun story at the same time. So, it actually does a really good job at telling its story. I mean, it does at times feel a little bit rushed, but it also doesn't leave out any of the characters. It introduces everyone, it does things with every character, everyone is there for a reason, no one feels sidelined or left out, everyone has their moment to shine, kinda like how the Avengers did it. Just imagine that while also introducing you to everyone in the first place. So I'll let rushed slide because it's fun, well-written, punchy, there's jokes all over the place, but at the same time not to the point where it feels like a comedy. It's just kind of like you're watching these heroes go about and sort of witty banter at the same time. They're just funny people in an action movie. So it's not a comedy action movie, it's an action movie where the people performing the action are funny, if that makes any sense to you. There's a few things I want to say as far as acting goes. 1, Michael Rooker, always fantastic, great job here. 2, Vin Diesel. That man can do fantastic things with voice work. Don't believe me? Watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy or still don't believe me? Watch The Iron Giant. This man can convey so much with so few words, it's impressive. The things he can say with I am Groot, very expansive, a lot of fun to watch. 3, John C. Reilly. I have liked him very much in less comedic and more comedic roles, and he sort of has this interesting split between the two. I have to say, as much as this is an action movie with a lot of comedy elements mixed in, it's not really a comedy. And John C. Reilly's character in this movie, it's him playing towards the more comedic end of his spectrum, and it feels out of place. Maybe it's just me, but he really felt like he was channeling one of his characters in like Talladega Nights or like Tim and Eric show or something like that, as opposed to a more serious role. Which, I mean, this isn't the most serious in the world, but you kind of want to be on that end of the spectrum at the very least. And then I have to say, this movie just looks spectacular. The CGI is fantastic. You know how a lot of times you can tell where that seam between the digital and the real is? Even if the film has a fantastic budget, you can still tell when things are fake and the real doesn't quite mesh. I had a very hard time finding that in this movie. And then the practical effects and the makeup work, it was just spectacular. I will say that in spite of some fantastic editing and a lot of beautifully constructed scenes, the action in this movie, while it does not have shaky cam, thank goodness, it was edited a lot faster than I would like, which made some of the action scenes a little bit confusing to watch. But, I mean, they were still beautiful. It just was really hard for me to tell what was going on in some scenes, just because it was cutting a little bit faster than I could follow. But that's maybe just a thing on my part. But for the most part, beautiful movie. If you just enjoy watching pretty things, this could be up your alley. In the end, Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun, entertaining action flick. That's really what it is. It's honestly one of the better examples of the modern summer blockbuster that I can think of. I mean, it has multiple interesting characters that interact with each other and actually have character growth and develop over the course of the film. It has a, well, okay, it's a very unoriginal plot, but it's a plot that's told well, and the writing is snappy and interesting and fun to listen to. And honestly, let's face it, originality isn't everything. What really matters is, are you interested in what's happening on the screen? And I have to say, I was for Guardians of the Galaxy. Your mileage may vary, but I was very much entertained. So it's not perfect, but it's a very solid installment in the Marvel franchise. And I for one, am going to go see it at least one more time. Probably buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD. Until next time, folks, enjoy film.